So welcome everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Wadah Halla. I'm a director with PRC, and I'll be talking with you today about the new qualification introduced by the Institute of Management Accountants, the FMAA. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a short presentation about the FMAA, talk a little bit about our material for the FMAA, and then we will have some offers for you towards the end of the presentation. Now, as you all know, you're all muted at this stage. We will open the floor for questions, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can from whatever questions you throw at us towards the end of the presentation. So what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about what it is, who is it for, the outline, the structure, and the fees for the exam. When will the exam be available in the languages? We're going to do a short comparison or a simple comparison between the CMA and the FMAA, both of which are offered by the Institute of Management Accountants. We're going to talk about the study resources and how to prepare for it. And we're going to see a few sample questions about the FMAA. So in a nutshell, the FMAA is the Financial and Managerial Accounting Associate. This certificate has been introduced for beginner levels or entry-level accountants, entry-level finance professionals, entry-level management accountants. It has been introduced by a reputable and long-established institute, which is the Institute of Management Accountants, the IMA, and it will be available starting March of 2024. So according to the IMA, it instills the fundamental knowledge and competencies in accounting and finance, allowing professionals early in their careers to showcase their expertise to employers and build a foundation to expand their skills. Who is it for? Who are they targeting? Who's the IMA targeting? So as we said, this is an entry-level qualification. It will be for university students, accountants in the early phases of their career, those in need of a quick way to demonstrate accounting capabilities to get a quick job or to start a job. Those who are not yet ready for the CMA, as you know, the CMA is a more advanced, more developed qualification and requires 2 years of experience before becoming certified. For the FMAA, there are no such requirements. And anybody who wants to start management accounting career, but they don't have a bachelor's degree. So as you know, for the CMA, there is a requirement for bachelor's degree. For the FMAA, there aren't any requirements. Anybody with any background can sit for the exam. Now, it's a very nice and easy qualification. It's one exam, no membership requirements, and no education or experience requirements. So literally, anybody can sit for the exam. The outline are 5 sections divided to 25%, 25, 20, 20, and 10, with question difficulties of only levels A and B. Now, on the next slide, we will talk about the difficulty levels, but for now, it covers 5 topics: the general accounting and financial management. And here we start with the debit, the credit, the trial balance, the accounting cycle, the basic accounting. So we're starting from the basic accounting, probably accounting 101 or 102 at university level. We will talk about financial statement preparation and analysis, also at basic levels, the planning and the budgeting processes, the cost management and the performance metrics, and there's a section on the IMA's professional ethics or code of professional ethics. It will be a 10% section or of the exam. Now, this is the outline for the difficulty levels. We have level A questions, which require candidates to have knowledge and comprehension. So these are basic level questions, straightforward questions, simple, easy to answer, easy to apply. You have the application and analysis. These are level B questions. This is where you apply the knowledge that you learned in particular examples, or you analyze certain cases or certain examples. And the level C, which is not applicable to the FMAA, this is only applicable to the CMA. It's the synthesis and the evaluation. These are the more in-depth, more difficult questions that require in-depth and difficult levels or knowledge. The exam will be 80 multiple choice questions, relatively straightforward at only levels A and B, over 2 hours. So that's also plenty of time. We estimate, of course, nobody has attempted the exam yet. However, we estimate that 2 hours is more than you need to answer 80 questions at levels A and B. The exam will be priced at $299. And for the upcoming March exam or March window, the IMA has discounted it to $249. So only $249 for the exam if you apply for the exam for the March window. The applications will be open for January 2024. So the next exam window is March, and the exam currently is available only in English. Now, the IMA is contemplating additional languages, which will be announced in due course. But to start, for March, it will be only in English. Now, if we want to compare the FMAA to your CMA exam, now some of you might be aware of the CMA exam, the Certified Management Accountant exam. If we want to compare between the two, the FMAA is a one-part exam. The CMA is a two-part exam. The FMAA is 2 hours. The CMA is 3 hours per part, so a total of 6 hours of examination. The FMAA is 80 multiple choice questions only at levels A and B, which we're going to see later. The CMA is 100 multiple choice questions and 2 essays per part. Education requirements, experience requirements, and membership requirements are null for the FMAA, whereas for the CMA, it is a bachelor's degree, 2 years of professional accounting experience, and IMA membership will be required to sit for the exams and become certified. Now, as we're repeating it, the overall difficulty of the FMAA is levels A and B questions only, whereas for the CMA, it's going to be levels A, B, and C. The CMA exam, pass rate is around 45%. The FMAA, it's expected a lot higher because the core material is relatively straightforward. And you might have university degree candidates who apply for the exam, or professional accountants or experienced accountants who apply for the exam, so the passing rate is expected to be a lot higher. However, there are no statistics yet. The cost, it will be $299, but it's $249 for the March window. The starting price is $249, whereas the CMA exam is around $1,500 or $1,600 for both parts. The recommended study time for the FMAA is around 50 to 75 preparation hours, whereas it's around 150 to 200 hours per part of the CMA exam. So as you see, it's a lot easier, simpler, cheaper to acquire the FMAA when compared to the CMA. Now, will the FMAA replace the CMA? And the answer is no. It's an introductory qualification whereby you can start into the accounting profession, into the accounting fields, and from there you can continue on to a CMA. Now, the outline mapping between both the FMAA and the CMA. So these are these sections. The general accounting and financial management is not covered directly on the CMA exam, but it will be covered basics on the FMAA. And you have a section in the first, in section A of for internal controls. And these internal controls are partially covered in other areas of the CMA. Now, the financial statement preparation analysis, it's covered in part 2 of the exam. But of course, for the FMAA, these topics are a lot easier and just the basics. The planning and the budgeting is covered in the second section of the part 1. The cost management and performance metrics, you have 2 separate sections of part 1 that this is covered in. And the professional ethics is very similar but simpler to the professional ethics of the CMA exam. Now, how to study for this exam? To start with, you do need to get to know the exam. Select a study resource, and now we're going to talk about our resources, which will be available towards the end of December. And we expect an average entry candidate to spend anywhere between 50 and 75 hours in preparation time for this qualification. The resources we will have for you are an ebook, a question bank, around 1,000 questions, practice questions. You will have a mock exam to practice on. You will get free 18-month access to the platform, and you don't need 18 months. We expect an average candidate to be able to complete this exam within 2 to 3 months. A one-time free 6-month extension. So if, God forbid, 18 months wasn't sufficient, you can have a free 6-month renewal. And optional is a printed textbook. If you want a printed textbook, you pay for the shipping, and we will ship you out a printed textbook. But the ebook is the same. Now, a lot of you, or some of you, might be considering or contemplating whether the FMAA is the right choice for you. And the factors that you would consider are the following. Your current knowledge of finance and accounting. So if you're an experienced accountant with 4 or 5 years of experience, we don't believe this is the right certification for you. We believe go for a CMA. If you have finance and accounting experience, again, depending, if you have 0 experience and you want to start, the FMAA would be right. If you have a lot of experience, the FMAA might not be the right choice. What was your professional examinations experience in the past? If you have a higher qualification, we do not think that you will need the FMAA. If you have had difficulty in acquiring one of the more difficult qualifications, then this might be a good start for you. And for international applicants, English language proficiency at this stage, because as we said, at a later stage, multiple languages are being considered and are in the works for this FMAA. Let's demonstrate a few sample questions that might show or that are similar to the level of knowledge expected of the FMAA candidate. And I'll give you a minute or two to read it, and then we'll go over it. So the information reported in the statement of cash flows should help investors, creditors, and others to assess all of the following except. Keywords, of course, underscore them. So except. The statement of cash flows provides investors, creditors, and others the ability to assess the amounting, timing, and uncertainty of prospective net cash inflows of a firm. It will help assess the company's ability to generate future cash flows, and it will help management with respect to the efficient and assess the management's ability with respect to efficiency and profitability of the use of the firm's resources. What it does not do is the company's ability. It does assess the company's ability to pay dividends. It does not assess the company's management with respect to the efficient and profitable use, because this is demonstrated in the income statement. Oops. So this is the correct answer, because this is the net income or the income statement that will assess or help assess management with respect to the profitability. Now, according to the matching principle, cost of labor services of an employee who participates in the manufacturing of a product would normally be charged to the income statement in the period in which the work is performed, employee is paid, product is completed, or product is sold. And the correct answer is product is sold. What happens is that we charge the cost of labor as direct labor to the cost of goods manufactured. From the cost of goods manufactured, it goes to the finished goods inventory as cost of goods manufactured. And then from the finished inventory, when sold, it will be charged to the income statement as cost of goods sold. So these will be charged when the product is sold to match the revenue from the sale with the expenses incurred or expensed to generate the sale. So which of the following is not a characteristic of a successful budgeting process? Ensuring the budget's objectives are realistic. The budgeting process should be flexible. The budget is used only as a control and communication tool, and the budgeting process is the quantitative planning of the organizational goals. Actually, A, B, and D are characteristics of successful budgeting process. But using the budget only as a control tool is not a good characteristic. They can be used as a control and communication tool, but they should also be used to plan, to control, to plan, to manage, to control, and to communicate. So we should not use the budget only for a control or as a control or communication tool. So which of the following costs is the best example of a variable cost? Variable costs are those costs that change directly or proportionally to the increase in output or to the increase in production. Property taxes are fixed. Interest charges are variable, but they're not an example of a variable cost. They depend on not production, they depend on the amount of debt. Sorry, this is an X. The corporate president's salary is also usually fixed or tied to performance, but the variable cost, by definition, is something like a cost of material in a unit of product. The more output we produce, the more products we produce, the higher will be our cost of material. So this is an example of a variable cost. Let's do just one final question. So Charlie Benoit was on a team that evaluated a potential acquisition. Both Benoit's employer and the potential target are publicly traded companies. A significant portion of Benoit's personal investment portfolio is composed of the target company stock, which Benoit did not disclose. In this case, based on the IMA statement of ethical professional practice, Benoit would be in violation of which of the following statements? This pertains to the integrity of Charlie Benoit, because he failed to disclose that he has a material interest before evaluating or before giving his report on the potential acquisition. It's in his best interest for the acquisition to take place, or there could be an interest for him regarding the occurrence or non-occurrence of acquisition, and this must be disclosed prior to being involved in such a situation. So these are the sample questions on of the FMAA. Now, for the offers that we will be providing, the first 50 candidates to pass will get our standard bundle for free. So our standard CMA bundle for free. And the first 5 candidates to pass and send us their scores will get their CMA standard bundle for free, in addition to the FMAA bundle refund. So we will refund you any fees you paid for the material. So ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure. We thank you all for joining, and we wish you all the best. Looking forward to seeing you in some of our future webinars.